Now it's time for your national news. On Saturday, September 7th, a 107-year-old man died in a shootout with a SWAT team in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. This 107-year-old man's name was Monroe Isidore. He was in the bedroom, and officers tried to get him out. He shot at them, but no one was hit. They put gas into the room through the window after the negotiation attempts didn't work, but he shot at them again. The SWAT team entered the room shortly after, and Isidore fired at them, but the SWAT team did the same and killed him. He was pronounced dead at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night. They had to raid him because of a public disturbance. On Monday, September 9th, Abraham Pearson, a 25-year-old man, escaped from a Detroit courthouse by stabbing a deputy in the neck several times with a comb that he turned into a shank. Then he stole the deputy's uniform and keys. He also hijacked a minivan from a 58-year-old woman. He was caught without the car or uniform more than 13 hours after the escape, walking east on I-94. His lawyer says that he is mentally unstable and wants Pearson to plead insanity defense, but Pearson has had 2 psychiatrists say that he is competent.
August brought record highs for people who were in need of food in Buena Vista County by the amount of people in local food pantries. Storm Lake says August doubled this year for the amount of individuals who came in weekly in 2011. In August of 2010, there were 1,141 individuals who were served with food once a week. August 2013, there were 2,281 individuals who needed food and were able to satisfy the food pantry. Luckily this summer there was more food brought into due to the fresh vegetable season to give everyone more food. This was George Torres with your local news. Back to you guys.
Have you ever thought of living in the 1980s again? Well, surprisingly, one family has. They are the Macmillans. They are like any ordinary family, young, unmarried, and have 2 kids. Now they live every day like it's 1986. The Macmillans have decided not to use any technology invented after 1986. This means no iPhones, Xboxes, DVD players, or digital photographs. They started this project since April and they want to do it for 1 year. They've been entertaining themselves with books. They took a family road trip this summer and navigated using paper maps. No GPSs. Blair, the father, even wears a mullet, business in the front and party in the back. Blair has considered producing a documentary or writing a book about this year of living. Some people may ask, are his kids even complaining? Of course not. His kids are far too young. 1 is 5 and 1 is 2. He believes they aren't that affected because they are so young. He also states that the project is just to get closer and reunite the family. Blair said that the project has been working out awesome. The whole project started off with something familiar that is happening to a lot of families nowadays. That is technology. He says the gadgets were cheating their children's childhoods. Earlier this year, Blair McMillan says he was hanging out outside his house and he asked his 5-year-old son, Trey, to join him. Trey refused. He was too busy with his iPad. That's kind of when it hit me, Blair tells the son, because I'm like, wow, when I was a kid, I lived outside. That's when Blair and his wife Morgan decided to de-techify their lives. Some of the things they cut out are Facebook, cell phones, and cable TV. They even created a box in their home for guests to put their modern technology when they come to visit. Many people in his life have questioned their lifestyle choice. Blair has had trouble finding a job since it's all done on the computer. But then again, he says his cost of living has been reduced. No internet or cable. He said it's way cheaper. So why 1986? Well, that's because both Blair and Morgan were born on that year. We're parenting our kids the same way we were parented for a year just to see what it's like, Blair explains. But one thing they still use from the contemporary world is a 2010 Kia for a car. No GPS though, and back to you guys.
This is Zoe Behrens reporting on the topic of Syria. There's been much conflict rising lately, and no doubt some people are having a hard time following. So I'm here to sum it up for you. The current issue with the United States started on August 21st of this year. Civilians in the Syrian capital city of Damascus were attacked with chemical weapons, resulting with over 1,000 reported casualties. For the past few years, there has been a civil war in Syria with the government versus the rebels. The rebels accused the government of issuing the attack in order to push the rebels out of the city. The Syrian government denied these accusations, stating that they were false and completely baseless. Following the incident, the British government released an assessment clearly stating the use of chemical weapons and saying it was highly likely that the Syrian government was responsible. The United States released their own assessment accusing Syria of using chemical weapons against its own people, which resulted in the deaths of 1,429 people, including 426 children. Not long after, the French government released a summary stating that a massive use of chemical agents were used against civilians. It also stated that Syria had a large stock of weapons, plus the means to initiate them. Russia backed Syria with money and weapons, saying the claims were utter nonsense. Congress had planned on voting on whether to take military action in Syria, but President Obama has pushed this plan back due to a new proposal made by Russia. This proposal asks that Syria hands over all chemical weapons to be placed under international control and then destroyed. Syria has said they accept this plan, though some worry this is merely a stalling tactic. As of now, Obama wants to use diplomacy to solve this conflict without any military action, but he is willing to wait only so long. Though if Syria fails to fulfill their obligations, military action can be expected. This was Zoe Behrens bringing you up to speed with the Syrian conflict. Expect more on this story as it develops. Back to you guys.
Now it's time for your sports.
On Sunday, September 8th, the Lions beat the Vikings, but during the game, a team leader from the Lions defense, Ndamukong Suh, performed an illegal move. This didn't surprise many people, though, because he has a rich history of getting personal fouls and performing illegal hits. During an offensive drive by the Vikings, their quarterback, Christian Ponder, threw an interception to DeAndre Levy. DeAndre returned it for a touchdown, but while he was running into the end zone, Suh decided to block the Vikings center, John Sullivan. He dove at Sullivan's legs, so Sullivan was lucky he didn't get injured. Suh is being fined for $100,000 because of how bad this hit was. Although he is complaining that the fine is too large, it's because he has had so many other fines that the fines keep escalating in price. After the game, Suh apologized to his teammates, and they accepted his apology. This is still hurting the Lions as a team overall, though. That's your sports news. Back to you guys.
Welcome to Senior Spotlight. My guest today is George Torres.
Thank you, Maya.
What do you plan to do after high school?
Go to college for auto body,
If you can be the best in something, what would it be?
welding and auto body.
Why?
Because for welding, if you crash your car, I could like fix it. If I need to replace a part, I could just weld it back.
Is high school what you expected?
No, it's hard, but to graduate, you gotta work at it.
What do you like about being a senior?
I'm an upperclassman. I know I'm gonna graduate this year.
What's the most interesting class in high school?
Auto body and construction.
That's it. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Lana.
was a train that derailed and killed a lot of people. It happened on Tuesday in Spain. The driver was in the cabin driving when he went on a curve at 180 miles per hour, according to the driver named Francisco Garzón. The train derailed and hit one of the beams on the bridge. Then later, there was 79 people killed, some injured. The judge accused Francisco for reckless driving, then charged him for those 79 people that died, and the driver was going over the speed limit. The speed limit was 80 miles per hour. Then later, the speed limit was reduced to 30 miles per hour. This is World News. Back to you guys.
Mason, wake up.